My name is Keith Mackey. For the first half of my adult life, I was a broadcast journalist.
The truck had careened toward that gas station instead of toward the restaurant, then it would have been a lot more serious than it was.
For the second half of my adult life, I became an ordained minister. So what we're doing here is combining both. And we are going to investigate things theological. But let's bypass all the technological mumbo-jumbo. Let's explore it in plain English, down to the nitty-gritty, and strip away all the religiosity and just get down to it. This, then, is the Pompatus of Truth. Welcome! Some call me the sermonizer because I preach with the Pompatus of Truth. Andy Williams sang, "It's the most wonderful time of year." And in many ways it is, I suppose. Christmas, of course, and who doesn't like Christmas? Well, a lot of people actually, but that's a topic for another day. Right now we have a burning question: what are we going to do with Santa Claus? I mean, well, why do anything? Well, look at it this way: Is he, Santa, a harbinger of the Christmas season celebrating the birth of our Lord? Or is he a tool of Satan? Well, there are those on both extremes of this question. But what is the Pompatus of Truth? Let's figure this out. He was a real guy, St. Nicholas of Myra was the bishop of the maritime city of Myra in Asia Minor. It was a port city, and it's the modern-day Turkish city of Demre. We don't have exact records, but tradition says St. Nicholas was born on March 5th, 270 AD in the seaport town of Patara and died at the age of 73 on December 6th, 343 AD in the nearby seaport town of the aforementioned Myra. All kinds of stories are attributed to him, but it is known that he had a heart for children, rescuing some from the sex trade, and there's a famous story about him saving some sailors from being wrongly executed. He was born into a wealthy family and used the family wealth to do good. St. Nicholas is the patron saint of sailors, merchants, archers, repentant thieves, children, brewers, pawnbrokers, unmarried people, and students. He was known for his legendary habit of secret gift-giving. And yes, this would give rise to the traditional model of Santa Claus through the Dutch tradition of Sinterklaas, or Saint Nick. There were miraculous occurrences attributed to him, hence his veneration. Hey, he was a big deal. You might be interested to know that there was a St. Nicholas church built in Myra in the 6th century over the site of the church where Nicholas had served, and his bones were brought there and enshrined in a sarcophagus there in that church. It was all well and good until the Muslim Turks occupied the land in 1087. And when it was all said and done, some Italian merchants, they weren't having it. So they sneaked into the place, removed the major bones of good old Saint Nick from the sarcophagus, and placed them in the shrine of the Basilica di San Nicola in Bari, Italy. And they remained there to this day. Now later, during the First Crusade, Crusaders removed the remaining bone fragments from the sarcophagus and took them off to Venice. By the way, legal disputes between the governments of Turkey and Italy over those bones continue to this very day. So, that was the man. Now here's the legend. We have Charles Dickens in his classic work, A Christmas Carol, and that had a major impact on the hearts of Englishmen and Americans alike. Christmas, actually fell out of favor after the American Revolution, along with a lot of other English traditions, but it started making a comeback. And that was aided by Charles Dickens and other things. But it all started to kick into high gear when an Episcopal minister named Clement Moore wrote a Christmas poem called An Account of a Visit from St. Nicholas. That was in 1822. You've probably heard it. It begins, "'Twas the night before Christmas." Ah yes, St. Nicholas, in the poem, is a jolly, chubby man dressed all in red and a big white beard and a sack of toys, flying from home to home on a sled driven by reindeer to deliver toys to good little girls and boys, and all that. Then in 1881, it all really starts coming into place, and the afterburners kicked in when political cartoonist Thomas Nast drew an image of St. Nicholas from that poem. And with a huge cultural kerfuffle, Santa Claus was locked in place now and forevermore, particularly in Coca-Cola commercials. Okay, so the man, the legend, now the problem. Capitalism is the greatest economic system in the world. It has lifted untold billions of people from poverty, increased the quality of life for so many, but it does have some downsides, like greed. Merchants are ever on the lookout for ways to make a profit. After all, that's why they're merchants. I mean, nothing wrong with that in and of itself, but Christmas was seized upon, and now it would appear that the life or death of many retailers now lies with Christmas. As goes Christmas, so goes the economy in so many areas. Now, post-pandemic, our economic ways are convulsing, but there is something that remains the same: Santa Claus. So just what is the pompatus of truth about Santa Claus? What do we do about him? I mean, face it, here is a man to whom we've given godlike powers. He knows when you are sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. He's making a list and checking it twice, going to find out who's naughty and nice. And he has the miracle of magic reindeer who pull his sleigh all around the world, bringing presents to everyone. And we make awfully sure that little children believe he actually exists. I think the word for that is idolatry. And idolatry is a big deal in the Bible. All right, so we know children who believe in Santa Claus are young and naive, but when they grow older and they mature a bit, they learn that Santa Claus is a myth. The pompatus of truth would say that this is very quietly, very subtly, but very effectively setting the stage in the children's hearts and minds for that day when they will come to the conclusion that Jesus is in the same category as Santa Claus. Hey, believe in God, go to church, go to Sunday school when you're a child, but now that we're all grown up, we move on and forget that stuff. An article in the Chiniquy website, dated this past November 3rd, makes this very point. The author says Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, all this good stuff is a tool of Satan that sets up children to eventually lose their faith. This is interesting because Chiniquy is a pen name used by a man named Mujahid Abdullah. Yes, he is a Muslim. So a Muslim can figure this out? Why can't we? Christmas, Easter, all of this is inexorably linked with Christianity. Is it any wonder that as the holidays fall, so does our faith on so many levels? We can't put the decline of faith completely at the feet of Santa, but I tell you what, it's a contributing factor big time. In the United States, 23.1% of those surveyed reported no religious affiliation at all. Well, hey, that was 2019. It was up from 21.6% in 2000. I guarantee you those numbers are getting worse now that we're past the COVID pandemic. And when you look at the generations, the younger you go, the worse it gets. Pew Research indicates that only 45% say they are atheist or agnostic, but those who are nothing in particular has risen to 17%. And Pew researchers say actually it's low because 1/3 of Americans surveyed claim a faith, but they are non-practicing. Church attendance reported pre-COVID in 2019 was at 45%. That's people who show up from weekly to every now and then. And I guarantee you after the pandemic, it's a lot worse now. Okay, back to our question. What do we do with Santa Claus? Do we kill Santa Claus? Well, I'll tell you what, let's go online to Psychology Today. And you're going to find lots of debate on the matter, one way or the other. And I kind of like what Dr. Clifford Lazarus, he's the clinical director of the Lazarus Institute, says. He says that, and I'm quoting now, maybe it's time to announce once and for all, no, Virginia, there is no Santa Claus. But Christmas and all of the holidays and observances can still be a time of love, fun, faith, friendship, gift-giving, charity, and joy. Okay, now we come to the conclusion of the matter, the pompatus of truth. We don't want to commit idolatry, all right? We don't want to do so by giving children the false god of Santa, Easter Bunny, and all that. We don't want to set them up for spiritual failure down the road. So let's do this.
What did I get?
Go ahead. Have Christmas and all the trappings. And let Santa in, all right? But make it clear from the get-go, from the start, that all of this is a fun story, like, say, Big Bird, Clifford the Big Red Dog, Pete the Cat, SpongeBob SquarePants. Make dang darn sure that your kids know from the earliest days, from the beginning, that Santa is a fun story, and we enjoy it along with, Paw Patrol, Coco Melon, and superheroes like Spider-Man. Everyone loves Spider-Man. We make it clear as a bell, a Christmas bell maybe. We make it clear that we enjoy that. Santa comes around the time of Christmas, but the reality of our Lord Jesus doesn't really have anything to do with the mythology of Santa Claus. Do it. Do it now. And that, my friends, is the pompatus of truth. Our time is at hand. I'm your old buddy, the sermonizer, and Lord willing, I'll see you next time